Please introduce yourself to the court.
Hi, I'm Jordan Lohman, and I'm 57 years old.
What is your current occupation?
I am the head principal at Earhart High School.
Principal Lohman, did you attend college?
I did. I attended Ohio State University, where I received my undergraduates, and then I attended the University of Arkansas Fayetteville, where I received my doctorate.
What did you do after you graduated?
I worked 2 years at an underprivileged school, where I was promoted to assistant principal, and then I worked at a Kansas City parochial school for 10 years after that.
How are you involved in today's case?
I am representing the Earhart School District, which Ms. Gordon is suing.
Why is Ms. Gordon suing the school district?
She claims that I fired her based off her religious beliefs.
How is Ms. Gordon's religion a factor in her firing?
It isn't, actually.
Before we get to the firing, let's start at the very beginning. When did you start working at Earhart High School?
Well, before I actually got hired, I noticed the announcement in 2008, so I applied for the job.
And what happened after you applied for the job?
I became one of the 3 finalists, and I underwent many interviews.
Could you tell us what happened during your interviews?
I can. I actually met Ms. Tyler Johnson in my final interview.
And how was Ms. Johnson involved in your interview?
She asked me one question in particular, actually.
And what was that?
She asked me,
Your Honor, this question will go to show the subsequent action of Principal Lohman in regards to how she would allow religion in her public school. We're not using the direct quote from Tyler Johnson as truth of the matter. We're just using it to show the subsequent action of Principal Lohman.
And, well, how is the question asked in her interview relevant to the issues?
It's relevant in today's issue because Principal Lohman told Tyler Johnson during the interviews that she didn't think religion belonged in public school. And that is why we are here today, because Christine Gordon thinks that she was fired because of her religion.
All right. I'll allow it, subject to you moving to strike it later if it turns out not to be relevant.
What did Ms. Johnson ask you during your question?
she asked me how I felt about public education and religion.
And how did you respond to that?
I agreed with Ms. Johnson. I told her that the two should be kept totally separate.
Why do you believe public education and religion should be kept separate?
Because you can't have public education and religion in school. It's a known fact for everyone.
When did you become the principal at Earhart High School?
I officially took over on June 1st, 2009.
What did you do when you became the principal?
Well, since I was new to the school, I wanted to get to know my teachers, so I started reviewing their personal files.
What did you find in the files?
I actually do remember Miss Gordon's file. To me, she looked like a good teacher on paper.
What do you mean on paper Ms. Gordon looked like a good teacher?
Well, in reading her personal file, I could see that she had started the first advanced placement course and she had helped bring up test scores, but it was soon after I met her that my opinion started to change.
Why did your opinion of Ms. Gordon change?
I had a meet and greet earlier, like Ms. Cassins had stated, and in this, I heard Ms. Gordon talking about her new conversion to Jainism.
Why was this conversation a problem?
From my standpoint, it looked like Ms. Gordon was bringing religion into the school.
What else did you learn about Ms. Gordon?
I learned that Ms. Gordon had started this Free Spirit Club.
From your understanding, what is the Free Spirit Club?
Students hang around Ms. Gordon's classroom and talk about different Eastern religions.
Did you ever talk to Ms. Gordon about the club?
I did. I first actually expressed my concerns in early August.
Why did you express your concerns?
I wanted Ms. Gordon to know that I did not stand by the decisions of teaching religion for this club.
Did Ms. Gordon tell you what the purpose of the club was?
She told me that the students would research religion and come back and talk about it in the class.
And how did you react to this?
I told her that I did not feel comfortable with this fact, and I also expressed that I didn't feel comfortable that other teachers would give extra credit to essays on religion.
How did Ms. Gordon react to your concerns?
I guess just expressing my concerns to Ms. Gordon must have hit a hot button with her because she flew off the handle and called me a close-minded simpleton.
Did you order Ms. Gordon to disband the club at this point?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Your Honor, this doesn't imply the answer yes or no. I was just seeing what Principal Lohman did. She said that she expressed her concerns.
Just ask her, what she, just ask it in a different.
Yes, Your Honor. What else did you do that day?
I just expressed my concerns to Ms. Gordon. I felt that maybe she would get the hint that religion and public education shouldn't be together.
Why shouldn't they be together?
Well, not to be flippant, but frankly, the Constitution actually doesn't allow it. I would love to have public prayer in schools. I would even encourage it at Earhart, but I know that's not possible. I'd also like to have a Christmas tree in my office around the holiday season, but I know that's not allowed.
Why shouldn't all religions be taught in public school?
Well, if I allowed Ms. Gordon to have her religious symbols in the Free Spirit Club, that would be the only thing that was taught. If I allowed Ms. Gordon to have that, I would have to allow followers of Santeria and their religious practice, which is animal sacrifice. So So I can't have my religion, Miss Gordon can't have her symbols or the club, and the Santorians can't slaughter goats in my cafeteria.
Principal Lohman, let's move on to the day of the firing. Why did Miss Gordon claim she was fired?
She claims she was fired because of her religion.
Why did you fire Miss Gordon?
I fired Miss Gordon for 3 main reasons.
What was the first reason for firing Miss Gordon?
That was assaulting a superior.
What do you mean?
On April 11, 2011, Miss Gordon actually shoved me in my office.
Principal Lohman, let's start at the very beginning of April 11, 2011. What happened after you arrived at school?
I started to type Miss Gordon an email informing her that I wanted to meet with her.
And what happened after you sent the email?
When Miss Gordon did arrive in my office, I told her this was the last time to disband the club, or I would report the incidents to the school board.
How did Miss Gordon react to you saying this?
It's like a reoccurring event. Every time I express my concerns and tell her to do something, she flies off the handle. And this time she actually threatened me and told me that if I wasn't her boss, she would punch me in the face.
How did you react to Miss Gordon saying this?
After having threats, I was kind of taken back and I hit my hand on my desk and I said, I don't care about your religion. You will stop prepping these kids or you will be fired.
What happened after you said these things?
Miss Gordon walked over and shoved me.
Principal Lohman, how hard was the shove?
It wasn't a shove that knocked me off my feet, but it was a pretty firm shove.
Could you demonstrate the shove today?
I could.
Your Honor, may the witness step down to demonstrate the shove from April 11, 2011.
Any objection?
I object it's a waste of the court's time. I don't believe the understanding exactly how far the stuff was necessary.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes.
The shove is highly relevant in today's case. It is one of the reasons that Miss Gordon was fired, and I think the jury should be allowed to see the shove. Thank you. Principal Lohman, could you demonstrate for the jury how the shove went?
I could. After I said that I didn't care about Miss Gordon's religion and if she didn't stop the club, she would be fired, she said, well, I guess we'll see what kind of person you are, and walked up and shoved me, slammed my door out of my office and left.
And what happened after she slammed your door?
Well, after she slammed my door, I opened it and went and confirmed with Miss Catherine what had happened and then got the consent of the superintendent to fire me.
Objection, Your Honor, your turn. I believe she's explaining what her discussion was with the superintendent.
Your Honor,
Well,
Yeah.
down to we take the stand.
Your Honor, the witness was just saying that she called the superintendent, not necessarily what the superintendent said.
Your Honor, I believe she testified that she got the consent of the superintendent. So I believe that's here, sir.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. What happened after you got off the phone with the superintendent?
I started to type Miss Gordon's formal letter informing her the 3 reasons why she was actually being fired.
And what did the letter say?
The letter informed her that she was being fired for assaulting a superior, not following school policy, and being insubordinate.
What else did you send to Miss Gordon that day?
After the formal letter, I sent Miss Gordon more to say a courtesy email.
And what did the courtesy email say?
The courtesy email just informed her that she wasn't allowed to enter the high school again.
Principal Lohman, what was the second reason for firing Miss Gordon?
Failure to follow school policy.
What do you mean?
On April 11th was actually the reason why we were going to see if she was going to renew her contract because Ms. Gordon had been violating several sections of the teacher handbook.
Principal Lohman, do you still have a copy of the contract up there?
Do you know? Oh, yes.
When was Miss Gordon's contract set to expire?
It was set to expire on May 24th, 2011.
What was one of the sections that Miss Gordon violated in the handbook?
The first section that she actually violated was section 5.3, which is consent of the principal.
And how does section 5.3 pertain to Miss Gordon?
Ms. Gordon didn't ask for my consent to renew the Free Spirit Club.
When did Miss Gordon ever receive your approval to run the club?
Ms. Gordon never received my approval.
Principal Lohman, did any other groups receive your approval?
Yes, all teachers that wanted to renew their clubs, they got my approval. The only one that didn't was Ms. Gordon.
What was the second section that Miss Gordon violated?
Section 10.2, which is unacceptable behavior.
And how does section 10.2 relate to Miss Gordon?
Well, if you actually look at section 10.2, this was the section that Ms. Gordon violated the most extreme. She actually did threaten me on April 11, 2011, and she shoved me.
Principal Lohman, what was your last reason for firing Miss Gordon?
It was insubordination.
What do you mean by this?
In section 1.3 of the teacher handbook, it states that the teachers will follow under the direction of the principal.
How does section 1.3 pertain to Miss Gordon?
Well, earlier when I first found out about the Free Spirit Club, I expressed my concerns to Ms. Gordon, and then I even told her twice to disband the club.
When did you first express your concerns about the club with Miss Gordon?
That was in early August when Ms. Gordon called me a close friend in Simpleton.
And when was the second time you expressed your concerns about